Change places! Change places!
Alrighty, here with Brent from BJ on GameDay, just to discuss, or just to test out a few things, hopefully, for when we go to the broadcast again next Wednesday or next Tuesday. Generally, it's Wednesday morning now, so hold on, Brent, I'll just get you back up on screen. So here we go. I'm going to play a match between my Tunnel Snakes and Pinga Ponga. I'll share the screen so you can see. So
cool.
Where do I want? Fuck, why am I recording all this shit? Anyways, so you should see the screen now. I'll just do a fucking output projector so everyone gets to see behind the curtain. Any BJ on GameDay fans that have tuned in to the Angry Bogan channel, let's fuck you off onto the other screen.
Exclusive footage.
Yeah. We got a bit of just a 20-minute half match between the Tunnel Snakes and Pinga Ponga. Currently, it's half time as we record this in the Warriors versus Sea Eagles game. Looks like Sea Eagles giving it to them by the looks of things.
Yeah, we're 24-12 at half time. I was watching a bit of that earlier. It looks like it's going to be pretty open and attacking sort of game. Plenty of tries scored, not much defending going on there. So good for Supercoach, definitely good for Supercoach. But we'll see. It looks like there's a bit of rain around as well, which is not good for Supercoach.
Yeah. So, as I said, we're testing some stuff out. So I'll be moving windows around as we chat, Breno. I just want to try and do a few things, hopefully fix a little bit of that roboting that we've been having. So just apologies while I fuck around with shit, but you can call the game on screen as we go. Tunnel Snakes.
Yeah, mate. So the Tunnel Snakes running out there at the moment. We've got
I'll make it a bit smaller.
Revised ping pong lineup. We've had a bit of a chat after the first few weeks and have made a few squad changes, a few positional changes. So expecting some big things from the boys this afternoon. No excuses now. We've found the optimal performance and positional areas for the players. So big maker Sivo making his debut as well after a strong display for Para on Friday night. And the Tunnel Snakes, I think we've probably played this maybe the fourth one that we've run against each other. You might be up 2-1 going into this one. Does that sound about right?
No, we've played a few short games and it's 3-1, but your guys won when it counted in the 80-minute match that we played for BJ on GameDay. So other two were trials.
This will be a big bring one back. We either go 4-1 down or we bring it back to 3-2. So
and I've got to make changes to my team because I've still got Cherry Evans. He's been gone for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, we did make a few changes to my side as well. We brought Cookie in, even though I only brought Cookie in Supercoach this week. And I think I still have Taumalolo, who he's obviously no longer there. So
you do realise I'm going to have to make changes to Josh's team before the rematch next Tuesday.
Yeah, no, fair's fair. And well, after the hiding he gave to me, I'm hoping that maybe it causes some issues with their chemistry. So how are you finding the Supercoach domain after the first couple of rounds anyway?
Yeah, I've been going pretty shit. I've been having a terrible run of luck though, especially with injuries in my forward pack. First week had Nathan Brown. He went down early in his first game with a torn pectoral muscle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's put him out for a few weeks. So I got rid of him and brought in Taumalolo. And in his second round game, he busted his knee, and that was the end of him for about 8 weeks. So going good. Looking forward to see what happens to my forward pack again this week.
Yeah, look, to be honest, that is probably as like the worst story you could probably get to start it off. To go a premium like Brown, gets injured in the first round, and then go to Taumalolo as we review a video ref call upstairs for the Tunnel Snakes here.
That's
Looks
a
like
try.
they've gone. Oh,
He's
lost
down.
that. Has he lost it?
That's a try.
Oh, terrible call. How's the ref sent that up? No try. That's probably the first set of 6 of the game for your blokes.
Yeah. And the Tunnel Snakes still have cheerleaders, so going against the trend of the NRL there, getting rid of the eye candy.
Now look, so yeah, you went Brown to Tamalolo, and then Tamalolo's got injured, so you've copped basically the baptism of fire for your introduction in terms of
off the post. Cookie misses the goal. Yeah.
What can happen, and that can happen, but that's a really extreme case. But as I said, welcome to Supercoach, mate.
As I said, I've been also because of Teddy Tedesco's form in the first 2 weeks, I actually ditched him as captain. And last night he went on to score, what was it, 124
odd or something like that.
It would be nice to still have him as captain.
Yeah, and that's the other big part of it is captain choices will make and break your season essentially. So you'll do that, and it won't be the last time it happens unless you go a set and forget captain like Joshy this season. But
I think I'm going to. With a break again, Hughes. Hughes, who's one of the more cheaper, I believe, and he's my pick. He's going to go hard this season. For the Storm.
Yeah, he looks really good on the back of that Storm side. Storm look like they're going to be as clinical
had a fantastic first round, but a bit more of a quiet round against the Raiders, but was really good in defence. So from a Supercoach perspective, he wasn't really. Oh fuck. Yeah.
Go Trebojevic.
From a Supercoach perspective, he didn't go too well against the Raiders, but from a footy perspective, he was good in defence last week against the Raiders.
Yeah, look, and Supercoach wise, I mean, you're not going to, unfortunately.
With the break, they're making big meters.
Generally, you don't get the scores from the outside backs every week. It is a bit harder for them. So, if they're still scoring like around that 40 to 50 point mark and they aren't getting many what we call attacking stats, whether it's, line breaks, forward pass there, tries and try assists, if they're still getting around 40 points, that's usually an indication that they're going to be a pretty good Supercoach player as well. But I think Hughes is going to be the real deal. He's going to have some weeks where he gets some good scores as the Tunnel Snakes. A high shot, you're kidding me. Hughes is going to be a good pick for you, mate, I think. You'll have to keep an eye on him, make sure he doesn't, he's got to keep putting those spike scores in every few weeks. But, yeah, good pick early on for you.
Yeah, well, I was able to... I initially got him as... He was listed pre-season as a halfback. So I actually had him as my sort of second string halfback, and then he had a blinder in the opening round. So I've now got him playing off the bench as a second string halfback behind Adam Reynolds now.
Yeah, and I think Supercoach wise, halves and sort of fullbacks can be your most. They can be the guys that score a lot of points when they have a good game and get those try assists and those sort of line break assists and all that sort of stuff. So anywhere where you can have those guys as much as possible is always good. That being said, they're not as reliable with what you call the base point scores, which are tackles and hit ups, which is your forwards bread and butter. So it can be rocks and diamonds at times. But yeah, if you can pick a guy like Hughes who's a starting fullback, and fullback's definitely a premium position for Supercoach, and actually have him up in your halfback position, that's really helpful, especially when there's maybe not a lot of consistency or genuine guns in the half positions at the moment. Probably not really. Has there really been anyone emerge that's started unbelievably well? There's a couple of good cheapies there in Brown and Kieran, but none of those premium guys have really stamped their foot on it yet. So, yeah, I think it's a good pick to have him in the halves. It's also, I guess, similar to that, the idea of where you can have the centre wing position, which is generally those outside backs guys who, as I said, don't have a lot of base stats, so their scores are a bit more inconsistent. There's a lot of guys that have the second row forward and centre wing duality. So you look at guys like John Bateman, that Britton Nakora from the Sharks, who looks like an awesome little cheapie. Guys like that who are actually playing second row or even lock in for the actual sides, but you can play them in the centres for your Supercoach teams if you're unsure about who to go, or some of your cheaper players aren't doing too well because they're a bit more consistent, so they're a bit safer in that regard.
Yeah, I think you mentioned Bateman. He appears like he's going to be a bit of a bargain player for those who picked him up early. He's played 3 excellent games for the Raiders, 2 of them in losing sides. Last night he had an absolute blinder against your blokes, the Knights. But that being said, I'm surprised he wasn't rated higher given his Super League form. The fact that he's a British international. So,
yeah, I think they would have looked at a bit of his stats, I guess, from over there. And I mean, I don't know what his stats were over there, but they've based it off something. They don't take like rep responsibilities and anything like that into it.
Okay.
But they also, I don't know if they have like a generic rule that they maybe start guys on that sort of price if they're internationals. I really don't know. I'm assuming they would have looked at his stats from over there, and if he's anything like he is here, he should have definitely started a bit higher because he's a gun. He's going to be a premium gun, and I unfortunately didn't trade him in this week because I talked myself out of it because of the weather.
Yeah.
But I think he's.
Who would have thought that an Englishman would be phased by rain? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? It's just the beauty of retrospect. But I think you haven't missed the boat yet if you don't have him. But I think he could be worth he's worth 400k this week. He had a break even around 0. I think for every point they score over their break even number. So each point, I've heard this year is closer to $7,500, but in the past it's been around the $5,000. So in theory, if you applied the $5,000 rule, if he scores 90 points and his break even was 0, he'd see a $45,000 increase this week. This year, I think that formula's changed, so I think it is about $7,500 per point over the break even. So it could actually be. Yeah, he could actually go up maybe around that 70k mark. So I expect to see him around that 450 to maybe 475 mark, which is still pretty cheap for what he's done, and for a guy that's you can pick in your centre wing. So I think you're going to have one more week, and he's probably going to have a negative break even again next week, which means he's only going to go up even more if he runs out and gets knocked out in the first minute.
Which is probably what will happen, considering he's in my forward pack.
Yeah, and it'll definitely happen because I'm getting on him for the first time next week.
Oh, big hit there on Lachlan Burr.
The boys are doing it tough out there. The Tunnel Snakes are doing well. They're putting us under the pump.
6-0. It's definitely not the Tri-Fest that last week. Oh, Burr just bumps off one.
So, yeah, mate, it's been a pretty turbulent first couple of rounds already. We're sort of halfway through, nearly around 3. There's going to be some big scores. There were some big scores posted from some guys already, like Bateman and Chance Nickel-Klokstad, that was the fullback for the Raiders. Gutherson had a blinder. He scored 99 points last night in a beaten side. He was awesome. People that played Maker Sevo, the cheapy winger, he scored over 80 points.
I was going to say, fucking Sevo. I dropped him from my 17. I've got him, but dropped him from my 17. And,
look, I was a bit concerned with him. I was always on tilt with him just because the word was that Jennings was going to come back, and once Jennings was back, he was going to lose his spot. Is the spot that Sivo's in. Yeah. But last night I had a quick look, and he kept his spot when they refined the teams down to the 17. His tries he scored were all him. He's an absolute weapon. He's Radradra's, long lost cousin or poor man's Radradra. He's obviously not the same as Radradra, but he's at a similar mould. And
if he plays like that, I don't think he's going to be poor man's for very long.
Yeah, he's going to be his own man, and that'll be the the Sivo. So yeah, he did really well. That was good to see, and he'll make it fair. But I know you didn't play him this week, mate, but that's what you want to see from your cheapies. He's going to go up a whopper of cash now, and for the next a score like that will now guarantee his next 2 or 3 weeks will, as long as he doesn't score sub 20 in the next couple of weeks, will get dropped. Obviously, if he doesn't play, he's not going to raise any cash. He has to keep playing. Should see him make a good couple rises, which is what you want. Same with that Ravalawa. Do you have that Ravalawa?
Yes, I do have Ravalawa. Yeah. He had a couple of shockers first 2 rounds, and then once again I dropped him from my 17, left him off, and then he has a blinder.
Yeah, and that's always the way. I was the same, mate. I played Ravalawa round 1 and 2, didn't play him this week. He scored 60 points.
His defence was fucking shocking in those first 2 rounds. So I actually brought in Corey Oates because I thought, he's a try-scoring machine. He's going to run all over Ravalawa, and it's going to be a points fest. And then suddenly Ravalawa came out playing like he was a different bloke. A few drop balls early on, but that was about it.
Well, and I think early on as well, he dropped the ball and it led to a Corey Oates try. So I think a lot of people would have been thinking what you did, and I don't think there was anything wrong with bringing Oates in. He had scored a couple of big scores the weeks before as well, so he's actually going to make you some good cash too. So that's okay. But it's funny what a week can do in footy. You would have thought Ravalawa was going to get dropped, if anything, the way he played in the first 2 rounds, but he kept his spot, and hopefully he can do so at least from a cheapie's perspective for Supercoach. Just from a footy perspective, I know they got up in what was an excellent game against the Broncos on Thursday night. Do you think the Dragons are in trouble, though? Look, I think, to be honest, I thought that sort of game is more of an indication of how inconsistent Brisbane will be. Obviously, they ran all over the Cowboys the week before, but that doesn't mean anything unless you back it up the next week. The Dragons were a wounded side. They lost to Bellin. Frizzell's injured. They were playing around with a new spine combination there, and they just managed to hold on and get the win, which I think that counts for a lot.
I love the way you say they lost to Bellin like he fucking stubbed his toe or something like that. On this channel, we don't hide away. The bloke's been fucking charged with sexual assault. Is it sexual assault or DV?
No, it's sexual assault, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah. So he's off on a very serious rape charge, I believe it is, because it's over 11-year sentence and you get automatically deregistered or something like that.
Okay.
That's the new NRL rule. Oh, go Teddy! Look at him. They're not going to catch him, surely.
You can't catch Teddy. Oh, no, you won't catch him.
Under the post.
Surely he caught that in goal and it was a 20 tap.
So
that's 100 metres. That's a 100-metre run.
Yeah, well, that'd be good for your super coach if you had him. But, look, so I think the Dragons were playing in a wounded way. They obviously have lost Widdop now, which they lost him at the end of the game, but that's going to be bad for him as well.
I think, they've got some good young guys. Like that host looks really good. They've got, Paul Vaughan's a really good prop. James Graham's there. They've got this Blake Laurie coming through. I think if they can get Frizzell back, their forward pack's still, they've got enough experience in there that they shouldn't get wiped out of games by other forward packs, because that's always a worry if their forward pack gets dominated. That basically means they're just going to get run all over.
What concerned me is that they were playing. They got up in the last 10 seconds, 25-24, over the Broncos. They played all over the Broncos all game. But those moments where they let slip, the Broncos scored every time. And I just don't think once you come up against your bigger teams, against your Roosters, Rabbitohs, Storm even as well, I just don't see St George, I don't see them holding up.
Yeah, look, and they will get found out. They're going to come up against, as you said, they haven't played any of the heavyweights yet, and I definitely wouldn't call Brisbane a heavyweight at all. So when they do, like you said, you play the Roosters. You look at last night. I thought Parramatta played a brilliant game, and they still ended up losing by 14 points because if you force,
ball inside to Burgess.
If you nap for 10 minutes, those teams are going to just run all over you, and you have to be. It doesn't matter how good your attack is and how many chances you're creating. It's sort of more about how you defend. And
Moylan, he's away.
How wasn't that a knock on? Is it? Shut the gate. We needed that. We needed that.
So just after Teddy ran 100 metres, Moylan's nearly done the same.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think there's some teams that are going to be in a bit more trouble than the Dragons this year, but they have just lost Widdop, which could be a blessing in disguise. With him leaving at the end of the season anyway, maybe they can concentrate on the combination they're going to be looking to work with next year, which will probably be, I'd imagine, bring Matt Duffy at fullback, who is actually a way better fullback than Widdop anyway. And maybe we don't see Widdop again this season at all, to be honest. Even if he is fit enough to come back at the end of the year, why would you bother?
Yeah, and they're back at play over at Christchurch. I'll just give you a score update. It won't matter to people watching on YouTube if this goes up. It's 24-12. Still.
How long into the second half are they?
10 minutes into the second half.
Okay, so no change in the halftime score.
So, interesting one there. Warriors obviously started off really strong in week one. Have seemed to went back to their old ways a little bit.
Yeah, there's definitely a few teams like the Warriors that are very inconsistent. You'll find not just from a Supercoach perspective, but obviously just in general from the footy perspective.
With the Warriors, though, it seems to be that's
offside. Cook's milked it.
Good, I was going to say.
Good milking there.
He's passed it into the offside player.
That's a very realistic simulation there.
Yeah. It seems to be like being inconsistent and having very good teams, but not actually going to fruition through that. It seems to be part of the Warriors club culture almost at this point. Forward pass there.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. And my opinion is like they've had some good sides in the last 5 years, especially when you think I rate Sean Johnson as one of the best players, one of the best halves sort of going around, at least in the top five in the world generally. And there was a year they've now lost him, obviously, and nothing on Adam Kieran, who they've got that just replaced him. He looks really good as well. But there was a year there. Well, yeah, absolutely. There was a year there they had Isaac Luke at hooker. They had Kieran Foran at 6, Sean Johnson at 7, and they have Roger Tuivasa-Sheck at fullback. Right there was your New Zealand Rugby League spine. That was their test team's spine playing for the Warriors.
And it is strange that New Zealand does lift a level when they put on the silver fern.
Yeah, absolutely.
They should consider just wearing New Zealand national jerseys week to week.
Honestly, you're right.
And, surely, yeah.
If they didn't do something that year, which they didn't, I think they might have scraped into the 8 that year, or maybe not. Yeah. Go Arrow. I can't see them doing it anytime soon. So I think, for those Warriors fans out there, oh God, it's going to be a bit of a wait until you guys win a comp somehow. As I said, I just can't see it happening anytime soon, especially now that you've lost Sean Johnson.
So there you go now. Warriors are a lock for the 2019 premiership.
Yeah, heard it here first.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. Put your money on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so, and even the Eagles in the past couple of years have been a similar sort of side. They've got some really good players in the Trbojevic brothers, Cherry Evans, Marty Tapau. They've had some good outside backs at times there, and they're perennially just underperformed in the last, like I said, more so the last sort of three to 4 years or so. Going back further than that, they were a genuine sort of heavyweight team. But, since they've lost sort of the Stewart brothers and like Jamie Lyons sort of era of players, they've brought in a new generation who have plenty of skill, but they're not able to perform consistently. Supercoach wise, they're still all right because they're scoring points, but defensively they're just all over the shop. So It's interesting though because you could build a team around the Trbojevic brothers, who are absolute freaks, but it doesn't seem to be happening for them at the moment.
Yeah, well,
So
I'm not really that concerned if Manly are terrible, to be honest.
no, neither am I. I think I just hate seeing the Trbojevic brothers there because, geez, our handling's terrible. Because they are such good players, it'd be good to see them win a comp, just not with Manly. So hopefully they come to Newcastle or something.
Yeah, I don't think Newcastle can afford them.
Yeah, we'll see. We're the new Roosters, mate. Don't worry about us.
Don't worry. Is Newcastle still under NRL administration?
Good question.
Oh, what a step by Tyrone Peachy, who got dropped last week from my real life Supercoach.
Moral victory.
That wasn't a knock on.
No, we were purchased by West Farmers.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so the Newcastle, that big company.
Kahoo.
Oh, who's that? He's too slow, surely.
Shut the gate.
No. Oh, there we go. We're back, baby. Are we?
12
Who's that chasing him? Get it down. Oh, yeah, mate. Yeah. So West Farmers, I think it is, or West Group, whatever it is, bought them out. So they're now owned down there, and that's a really strong Hunter Region affiliated company. So I think they're in much better hands now. But the team just needs to start getting some results on the field.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So that would mean that the only team left in NRL administration would be the Gold Coast Titans.
Correct you are, mate. Correct you are.
Now, sell them to the Bears. Sell the license to the Bears.
Yeah, well, there's been a lot of discussion in the last week or so, especially around the expansion of the game and what's that sort of what they're referring to is that. There's been some different ideas bantied around, and to be honest, I don't really pay attention to many of them because it's all like politician talk to me. But one of them is the relocation of teams or the merging of teams, or creating a couple new teams. And
well, there has been talk, or at least there was a couple of years ago, of the North Sydney Leagues Club, so a separate entity to the Bears as a football club, purchasing the license for the Gold Coast Titans because apparently they own the Gold Coast Seagulls up there.
Okay.
And my whole argument is in today's fuck off, get him.
Go Moylan. Oh, who's that? Go Burgess. He's not making it.
Burgess, get Burgess.
Quick, close the ball.
In today's age of diversity and LGBT rights,
go Moylan. Oh, yes, mate.
I really think the Gold Coast Bears would be a fantastic name for a football team. I tried to look it up. I looked up Gold Coast Bears, and all I got was gay nightclubs. So I think it'd be awesome name for a team up there. And they'd have a ready-made supporter base, which is what half-time there, 12-all. What a great game so far. There'd be a ready-made supporter base if you put the Bears on the Gold Coast, which is what a lot of those Gold Coast sides. How many is it now? 4 failed Gold Coast teams.
Well, yeah, Crushers, Chargers, Seagulls, was it?
Seagulls, Giants, probably back before you were even born, mate.
Oh, I've never even heard of the Giants.
The Gold Coast Giants, yeah.
There you go. So I know at least 3, and there you go. That's 4 plus the Titans.
Yeah. And the fact of the matter is that they've always tried to make brand new clubs, and it's like if you put the Bears in red and black up there, you'd have a lot of fans coming back into the NRL that would instantly ditch their current alliances. But I've even met a few people who have stopped following rugby league since the North Sydney Bears got initially kicked out of the competition. So I would be a huge supporter of the Gold Coast Bears if they brought them in.
So you tell me, as a originally a North Sydney Bears supporter, if they were to rebirth the team as the Gold Coast Bears, you wouldn't have any issues with supporting the side so long as it was the same red and black scheme and you know what I mean? Is there any? Do you think there's any
branding? No, not at all. Not at all. I think there would be some people that would be like, no. Much like there was when they wanted to put the Bears on the Central Coast, there was people like, no, it's North Sydney Bears or it's nothing. But me, mate, I don't live anywhere near North Sydney or the Gold Coast, so it doesn't fucking worry me. I just want to see those red and black Bears running fucking wild again.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And I think if they have that genuine affiliation to the North Sydney Bears Leagues club that are based in Sydney, which I'd imagine they would.
Mate, there's a whole heap of shit you could do if you had as I said, hypothetically, if you had the Gold Coast Bears instead of those cuntholes, the fucking Titans. Like Foundation Week, like you have a game against
Sivo.
Go Man.
Sivo.
Fuck off, Sivo.
Go Sivo.
Get him fucking.
Go
Sivo. You
Hmm.
took your time. You took your time, Teddy.
Sorry, cut you off there.
No,
Sivo was
that's
poor
fine.
man's Raja was over.
I gotta stop talking.
No, you're right.
No, I gotta stop talking because my team doesn't score when I do.
Get in there.
Oh, a bit of a fucking dive at the legs there, but the rest didn't pay.
Drop
it.
goals on. Drop goals on.
Mate, it's only 5 minutes into
get
the
them
fucking second
onside.
half.
Get them
What the fuck are
onside. Look at this.
They're onside.
What is that for a bloody set? Once you've run to the 10-metre line with one, and then we've gone nowhere since.
Defence.
Forward.
Hold him up.
Forward. Get that ball down.
Hand over.
We don't check those, do we? Yeah.
Teddy. Hughes, sorry. Hughes with the step. Runs to the 40 on the first tackle. Gotta love that.
So, yeah, it's interesting times to NRL, but I'm not holding my breath on the expansion of any new teams. I think it's going to be a rebrand or something like that will actually occur.
Well, and interesting comments during the week from Andrew Johns, who believes that they should cut the amount of teams rather than expand.
Yeah, he's got quite I guess you could call it radical idea in that, you actually almost halve the competition, or 10 teams or something.
12 teams, I believe.
12 teams, was it? Okay,
Yeah.
And then you've got sort of a relegation type thing where you have a second division and you got to win your way back up, and you can then sort of disperse the talent more evenly across 12 teams, have a higher salary cap. I just think...
I think the opposite. I think we should be expanding the 20 teams.
Oh, look, I definitely think there's room for another team up in Queensland.
Oh, try!
How does no one land on that from my team?
Gay guy! Doing something for once. He is playing in the centres, though, preferred centres.
Yeah, look, so I don't know. We'll see. As I said, we'll see what happens. But I think Greenberg, one of the things he's been sort of tasked with, I've heard him say, is looking
for himself as well.
Looking at expansion of the NRL. So I'd imagine if we're going to hear anything, it's going to be
Perth.
Well, there's already the Perth Pirates.
That's Benny Elias's. What he's putting his money behind, I'm guessing.
Yeah, the Perth Pirates. They've already got a logo and all that sort of stuff. So I think there's foundations there as well. But I'm not sure why sort of teams have failed in those areas before, and I'm not sure what's changed. But
to be fair, they only had one shot at it, and that was the Western Reds.
Mm-hmm.
And they went all right. It was only the whole Super League thing that fucked them up.
Okay. I do remember the Reds, and even when Super League came in, you had the Adelaide Rams and different teams in those sorts of states that we haven't really seen since.
I don't think Adelaide went too well.
But bring back a team in Perth as well. I say that'd be great expansion for the. I think there's definitely got to be an untapped market in there. There's a huge population of people, and AFL definitely have a stranglehold on that side of the country. So
to be fair though, so the Rabbitohs play a few games over there every year, and they seem to sell well. A lot of South Africans over there, so rugby is the big thing. So maybe get some converts from the rugby over to the rugby league would be nice.
Or dare I say another Melbourne team? I'm sure that won't happen. But
no. Oh, Tedesco with the big step.
Oh. How's these passes finding the mark?
Put it up. Bit of a nothing kick to Nickel Costa. But, there's talk of a second New Zealand team, which I'm against. I think we need to see the one New Zealand team that they've got be a little bit more successful before they look at the second one. Speaking of, I'll just check the scores.
Go for Fina.
30-12.
Yep.
In the 61st minute. So the Sea Eagles have they've extended that lead. So that reinforces the point I just made. I just don't think it's there for New Zealand until they actually start seeing some results with the one team they've already got.
No, I totally agree. I think they need to worry about the one team before they worry about another.
There's always been talk of a second Brisbane side, which I'd be in favour of. Even if that was the Bears, that would be pretty cool. But there's often been talk of a team out of Ipswich and stuff like that, which would probably not be a bad idea. They are rugby league mad up there. So for one, I don't know why the Gold Coast teams never succeed. Oh, Terry Emmons kicks it directly into the fucking arse of the player in front of him. Well done, champ. Cook kicking for touch, 20 metres out. They'll have a set of 6. Good-o. Good opportunity for Pinga Ponga to even this up. Oh, fuck, they need to do it on zero tackle. But, so Perth definitely. Just to, and I don't know. Oh,
shut the gate.
Bateman. No, Bateman, he hasn't got any pace, mate. He's a forward. If it had been Tedesco that picked that up, yeah, it would have been shut the gate. So, for expansion, the only place I can see would be Perth. Perth, as I said, a second Brisbane team. That would take you to 18 teams, which probably wouldn't be a bad way to go.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess they're always talking about...
They're always talking about Adelaide and... Oh, it nearly drops it there for Fina.
Well, even just the amount of games that players having to play each year and all this sort of stuff. And they're already whinging that they play too much when you think about Origin and Internationals and Nines or All-Stars.
In space.
So I think, the addition of 2 teams is only going to mean it would probably mean there's going to be an increase in the number of games. That doesn't necessarily have to be the case, but the way we do our draws in sports here in Australia just is mind-boggling. It just doesn't make any sense, especially the NRL.
To be fair, if they saw the amount of games that NRL players fucking played, like no other countries wouldn't fucking blink at that shit, man. Like,
yeah, absolutely. But as I said, I think just the way that the NRL does the draws and that sort of thing is mind-boggling. The way that you'll play the same team twice within the first 6 weeks, and then another team twice in the next 6 weeks, and then there's another side you'll only play twice in 2 years. There's plenty of that goes on.
I believe that's based off the previous year's ladder or something like that.
Oh, look, I honestly don't know how they do it, but I just think it shouldn't even be that. There should be, even if you've got 16 teams and you're playing 24 games in a season, over 48 games, you can ensure you play all teams 4 times. Essentially, it can be quite even, then you play a few extras, but they don't do that. And as I said, I'm not sure what they do. It might be something about the previous season or whatever, but obviously they're probably going to want to prefer to have games like the Roosters and Rabbits. Go Ponga. Twice a year. Go Ponga.
What's Teddy doing in defence? He's just hanging back and letting them run.
Like I said, it's such a business now that they're going to want to have games like the Roosters and Rabbits twice a year. Games like Brisbane, North Queensland twice a year. They get the biggest viewers, and it's all about those dollars at the end of the day. So,
yeah, well, I think it's a bit of fucking whinging, to be honest, when the players complain about having to play so often.
it is a bit rich. It is a bit rich considering how much money they make.
Did he get it down?
No, not sure.
Yeah,
We need
saying
this.
It's a try.
Be hard to overturn unless he's dropped it.
He's got that. He was able to get his body through that of Cherry Evans. He morphed through him like Cherry Evans is a ghost and scored the try. So the fantastic things you see here on PlayStation 4 fucking Rugby League. When was the last time in a proper footy game, Brent, you saw someone go through someone like they didn't have a physical entity? Amazing play there.
Yeah, look, it sort of looks like it's going to be a new skill set because I haven't seen much of it. I've seen people been run over before, but not run through. So,
he missed.
The pressure. Bogan, I've just realised what the time is as well. I'm going to have to head off.
All right, well, we'll finish it there.
So thank you for letting me join you today. It's been good. Hopefully we've got some good stuff out of this test, and you'll have to
I'll do a sound
fill
test.
us in of what the final result is in this match. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, no worries. We'll see how it goes, and I'll put if I put it on YouTube, I'll put the final score in the description. Just before you go, just let me fix your window back up, just so I don't have to redo it when we do BJ on game day. And BJ on game day, as said, Wednesday mornings. So early Wednesday mornings Australian time. That's when it goes up. So
yeah. And Bogan, you've been doing some awesome stuff for us, mate. So much appreciated.
Yeah, we'll see how we go.
Once again, you've lifted us up. We've actually got to sort of seem like we actually know what we're doing now because you've increased the production value tenfold, 1,000% with what you've been doing, mate. So thank you, and hopefully we can continue on throughout the year.
Yeah, all right. Well, thanks for being on the Angry Bogan channel. Have a good one.
Thanks. See you guys.